in this place right now. I hesitate to interrupt it. That's how the Quakers worship. And I've recently encountered a Quaker by the name of Parker Palmer. Is this?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's perfect.
Good. That we are going to be hearing more about these Quaker circles of trust. Last Sunday, Lorna asked you to take a look at the role you were playing in your life. Did you think about it? Did you realize before she spoke that you are a hero in your own drama of life? You are a hero. You might have been a victim at one time, like I was. And like me, you discovered the truth of your being. And if you haven't already realized that, consciously or subconsciously, you're on your way, or you wouldn't be here. So, it's celebration time. We're all on the journey of life that will take us to glory land. Like me, you have had to give up, or you will have to give up, some ideas that were terribly meaningful to you at the time. But this is a journey which allows us to release those things that no longer work for us as we acquire new ideas that do. A journey from which no one is denied access, and for which we are totally equipped with 12 specific faculties to help us, as Lorna also pointed out last week. And that is cause for the biggest celebration of all. In our minds, in the centers of our bodies, and in our souls. Oh, it's joy unspeakable and full of glory, full of glory, full of glory. Can you tell that part of my journey took me into revival meetings? Wow! But nothing is ever lost. When we realize who we are, everything in our lives can be used to broaden and increase those 12 faculties. As Oliver Wendell Holmes used the empty shell of the chambered nautilus as a metaphor for our life, we build ever more stately mansions for our soul and quietly slip into them, closing the door behind us. The very fact that we're here is cause to celebrate. Celebration time. The word celebration found its way into the English from the Latin meaning much frequented, as was the celebration of the Mass. It came into popular use in the 15th century and carried the idea of crowds of people assembled to honor some event or some person. Transferred meaning became involved with the whole community as well as the individual and their expression of their talents and treasure, a giving of self and symbols, a feeling of gratitude for some facet of life. Dictionaries have several definitions for the word. Oh my goodness. Celebration can't be separated, for example, from gratitude and thanksgiving. Both have the same meaning, evolving around individual and community feelings. Collapsing both secular and sacred definitions conveys the idea that we honor a life or an event which has given rise to gratitude. When that gratitude is collectively expressed, it lifts the consciousness of the collective. Who doesn't feel their heart swelling in thanksgiving for what is being celebrated? Charles Fillmore, in The Revealing Word, says both gratitude and thankfulness are necessary to live the life of the Spirit. They are, he says, quote, great mind magnets that increase the flow of substance. Gratitude and thanksgiving will keep the heart fresh. It can be likened to rain falling on ready soil, increasing its productiveness. Close quote. One of the ways that social scientists measure the health and strength of a nation's foundational ideologies is comparing the degree of enthusiasm for its national and religious celebrations and the numbers of citizens who attend them. The last decade, they say, has been seen a decline in patriotic festivities. Since Vietnam, war as a solution to world problems has fallen out of favor. That is something I celebrate, because it leaves the nations open to discover other ways to handle issues. And I am proud to claim an uncle who carried a stretcher in World War I rather than a rifle. Just as affirmative demonstration asserts the intention of the population and build intensity for the cause, so too does affirmative prayer assert the intention of our spirits and lift us up by our coming together with folks of like mind on a Sunday morning. Our feelings are magnified, and the gratitude and grace behind them increased. From small family celebrations to huge national holidays, celebration is coming together with minds focused on thankfulness for something we hold in common. It is, as Fillmore says, like rain falling on ready soil. Many of those revival hymns celebrate the thirst wisdom offers. Jesus was always giving thanks, and we ought so do too. What in your life is a cause for celebration? What causes you to express gratitude? Take a minute on this Memorial Weekend and think about what you want to celebrate. And share us with us if you have a mind. Everything. Life. That's a wonderful thing. And we celebrate life when we come together. We celebrate when friends come together. It's wonderful to be able to get up in the morning and say, thank you, God. And then as my mentor, Paul Hasselbeck, says on his radio program, if you've not caught Silent Unity or Unity on the radio, do look for Unity FM. Paul Hasselbeck starts his days by saying, and this is a man who has beaten AIDS. He was infected as a dentist he was, as he took on a patient who was very close to death to relieve his pain, and accidentally stabbed himself in the hand. They told him he'd have 2 years to live. That was 15 years ago or more. And he is hale and he is hardy. One of the things I'm thankful for is that I was born into a democracy. And that I was born into a family that valued others. There was nobody outside of us. I remember my mother in the city taking a hold of a black man was coming down the road, and he stepped off into the road. But my mother had already moved me in front of her so he could get by, because they were working. I'm so thankful to be born into a family that didn't see differences, that valued difference. So important is gratitude and thanksgiving to our life's journey that some spiritual teachers recommend we fake it till we make it. Have you heard that? Unity folk talk about denial and affirmation. But whatever the terminology, it works. Eric Butterworth in Spiritual Economics, the book we just finished studying, said, quote, "One way we have to keep ourselves functioning fully is to recognize and celebrate those things we are thankful for, both large and small." But he goes on, both large and small. But he goes on to note that many of those things we're thankful for can be two-edged swords, a cause for thanksgiving and a cause for lament. The secret is in the intent. He uses retirement as an example. Quote, "The life change known as retirement may be good for you, but only if it is seen not as an end, but as a redirection of activities and interests. One must work diligently at the continuing process of keeping the whole self alive and fully functioning. The truth is," he says, "we do not grow old. When we stop growing, we are old." Another example Butterworth calls on is the use we make of money. I think you'll all agree it's a matter of attitude. Some attitudes are toxic. All attitudes are a matter of choice. On one hand, frugality may be seen as stinginess, as limitation. But on the other hand, it may be seen as good stewardships. We don't have this little card anymore, but Victoria found it for us, and I'm going to see if we can't find it again. It's called the Purse Blessing. It says, "Divine love blesses this purse and keeps it abundantly filled. I open it both to give and to receive. The contents of this purse are blessed. I express wisdom, love, and good judgment in handling my financial resources. All to whom I give also express wisdom, love, and good judgment." My mouth is as dry. Cahill Gibran tells us in the Prophet. Now you all know Cahill Gibran, or you haven't heard me talk much because I rarely start a day without him. He tells us to give as the myrtle breathes its fragments into the air. Like the ebb and flow of spirit when we are open to receive, life can't help but give. As we too give, so do we receive. Pressed down, running over. Gibran says, quote, "You give but little when you give of your possession. It's when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions but things you have to guard for fear you may need them tomorrow? And what is fear of need but need itself? Is not fear of thirst when your well is full, the thirst that is unquenchable?" Through time immemorial, the wisdom of all the great religions cautions us to know ourselves. Thoughts are expressions in words, expressed in words, and words become actions of some kind. Remember Job? "That which I greatly fear has come upon me." I used to hear that. My father, when something went wrong in the farm, my father always said, "That which I feared." I didn't understand until I matured That what he was doing in those words was revealing himself to me. I thought he was a fearless warrior. He could do anything. A large and ongoing part of my journey is learning to listen to my own words, because they often reveal me to myself. Sometimes they're a cover-up, but that's only a temporary relief. Our ego is our fear monitor. We know now what we learned about fear through our mother's emotions when we were still in the womb. According to Eckhart Tolle, we can always tell when something we want to do is coming from the ego or the larger self. With an egoic action, one expects satisfaction when it's complete. The satisfaction is not there. With intuitive action, satisfaction is the doing of it. The outcome is irrelevant. That's the reason, Tolle says, that while we must live in the present moment, we ought not to be in a hurry to do anything. In one of my classes at the village last month, I came across a Quaker writer, Parker Palmer, who talked about the powerful influence on us of collective thought and how much we need to protect ourselves from it, and how much we need the strength to hold to the high road that we take away from being in the company of like-minded people. What we put into our minds, Jesus said, not what we put into our stomachs, is what defiles us. But humanly speaking, we resist thinking for ourselves and allow others' opinions and thoughts to dictate what our minds focus on. It's almost as if we have to celebrate something, anything, to keep our monkey minds occupied. So we latch on to the loudest voice, the most strident tone, and that's usually fear. The folks that study human behavior have been pointing out that where we make the mistake in our thinking is that we allow our thoughts to be caught up in what we don't want, canceling out the positive things we do want and attracting what we don't want into our experience. Friday night's movie let out of the bag the secret. This secret that has been known through generations and to wise and accomplished men. The truth that we are in control. What we send out, we get back. But it's tough. It's tough. The gospel, as our master teacher told us again, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And the gospel writers later on made it quite clear whom Christ, the Spirit within us, whom Christ makes free, is free indeed. We don't have to live by any subconscious program or lack or limitation that we recorded before we were 7 or 8. We can change it. Butterworth says, quote, "Gratitude is not a reactive emotion, but a causative energy. You do not need something to be grateful for. You need only the desire to feel grateful." Let me say that again. Gratitude is not a reactive emotion, but a causative energy. You do not need something to be grateful for. You need only the desire to feel grateful. I pray that we will put that in our hearts and act on it. Celebrate it this week. And I'm grateful for you all, and I thank you for coming and sharing your light and listening to me. God bless us all.
Thank you, Carolyn. Well done.
And now we take up